You ever feel like everything matters the same amount? And I mean everything.
It's the email, the text you haven't answered, the idea you had at 2 a.m., laundry that's just been sitting there for 3 days, and suddenly it feels like a problem.
And it doesn't have to actually be a problem, but it definitely feels like a problem.
Everything feels like it needs your attention at the same time. And that's when things really start to spiral.
Today, we're talking about why everything feels urgent when everything feels important.
This is Angry on the Inside. I'm Jess.
And I'm Jeannine. We're both certified ADHD coaches, but this podcast isn't coaching.
It's not therapy or medical advice.
It's real, honest conversations about being women with late diagnosed ADHD and everything that goes along with it.
Take what resonates and leave the rest. The part that really gets misunderstood here is hierarchy.
It's not that we don't know what matters, it's that everything feels like it matters all at the same time.
Like we can't tell what matters. That is not true.
It lands on the autistic side more than the ADHD side, but people assume that those with ADHD do not understand a hierarchy. We understand a hierarchy conceptually. We use it all the time. We just don't apply it to task in a way that actually helps us move in a world not designed for us.
So it's not confusion, it's that nothing separates itself enough to go first.
Part of that is that we don't naturally treat things as more important than other things.
Especially with people, we're not wired to rank people based on importance of status.
When it comes to tasks, everything just comes out at the same level. And if everything is coming in at the same level, then nothing stands out, which can be a problem. It doesn't look like anything is wrong. Internally, it feels like you're behind on something important, like all the time, but you can't figure out exactly what it is.
For me, it's that feeling of impending doom. Something's been dropped somewhere. I have missed something in the endless to-do list of my brain.
I so sadly know that feeling like every day. And because it's not tied to one specific thing. It's just constantly there, right? When's the other shoe going to drop? I have obviously forgotten something.
Your brain is trying to solve for importance, but it's not getting a clear signal. Instead of choosing, it just holds on to everything.
At that point, you're not responding to the task. You're reacting to everything that's built up around it. No, it started with everything feeling like it needed you all at once, which is why we always feel busy. Don't you always feel like you have a gazillion things to do, even though you probably couldn't name them all at the time? But you're busy because you got stuff to do.
I do feel like as women, we are constantly telling people how busy we are. That's one of those things that comes up that the non-neurodiverse community will say, you're acting like you're always so busy. And they'll act as if we aren't busy, but they don't realize everything has multiple steps. It's not a single item to-do list. It's like a to-do list with sub-chapters. You start out with bullet points, then the open dot, and the next one is the 1, 2, 3. Every single item on my to-do list looks like that. So it's not a case that I'm not busy. My brain is so freaking busy, I can barely function. But this is also where it starts to shift, because if everything feels equally important, then there's no real clear space to start. Instead of moving forward on one thing, you're trying to hold all of it at once.
Nothing stands out. And it all just sits there pulling at you at the same time.
And I don't know about you, but I personally feel that multitasking is a freaking myth. I feel like it's like the worst falsehood ever spoon-fed to the ADHD community. We're supposed to be able to tap our head, rub our stomach, and type out an email at the same time.
A lot of times when you look at the strengths of ADHD, and it's like you can multitask. I'm like, no, I can't. I've never been able to. Now, nothing is moving.
It's not because you can't do it, it's because everything is still active.
Reminds me of is remember those, I guess you used to call them merry-go-rounds or whatever, the stupid things on the playground, and you're supposed to jump on it while it was spinning.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it feels like. I was always like petrified to do that, but y'all just couldn't find the spot to jump in. The longer it takes you to jump on, it just seems harder and harder and harder.
For me, it would be comparable to double Dutch rope. I never ever figured out when to do that.
Yeah.
I always got nailed by the rope, but I would stand there acting like I was going to jump in at like any moment, only to get whacked.
With both examples, it's not about starting, it's that nothing slows down enough to grab onto.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of what this is about. You
Yeah.
can see it, you understand it, but it doesn't keep it from becoming all-encompassing.
It almost makes it worse if you're aware of it.
And it's because I'm, like, on fire and not realizing that I'm creating my own urgency. I'm manifesting it in my own life. And if I'm going to choose what I'm going to manifest, it sure as shit isn't going to be panic.
When I was in HR, there was actually a competency for that, like lack a sense of urgency. Don't people know this is so important? But this whole cycle just reinforces itself. You couldn't choose, nothing happened, now you're behind. Everything feels urgent. And the loop goes on and on and on.
That is concerningly accurate, you know, and it looks like the urgency was justified all along. At the end of the day, this is a self-fulfilling prophecy situation, right? We aren't able to actually look at the task and create a hierarchy or a list of importance. It's not meant to be self-deprecation towards myself in any way when I'm talking about this and this happening to me. That is not the case, but I also want to make sure that I'm recognizing the situation, that I'm trying to lessen the actual urgency I'm feeling, I guess, more than anything else, because that urgency, that is something that it can just make me physically sick. There's just no way in and there's no way out. So where the hell are you?
You feel trapped. It stops being about what's on your plate and it really starts being about you, as we like to do. Everything eventually comes back to us.
We turn it in. We turn it in as fast as a teenage girl with ADHD as we are when we're 50 or 60 with ADHD. We're internalizing that. And it's a monotrope of negative self-talk, especially when it looks manageable from the outside.
So many things with ADHD leaves us, questioning your own experience.
I'm like, why can't I handle this? Where am I at? Because you look around and you don't see it with anybody else, right?
Everyone else sees the manipulated things well.
Right. Exactly. And it honestly just sucks. It really does suck to be in this cycle.
I feel like when I'm in those moments too, where I start moving, I'll start doing one thing, but then I jump to another thing. Nothing's getting resolved. Oh, I got to do this. This is important. Oh, no, now I got to go do this. Feeds on itself. I'm finally moving, but I'm still not accomplishing anything.
If you can get far enough away from it and step back, you can see this is where it gets mislabeled. It feels like urgency. What's actually happening is nothing is clearly prioritized in a way that your brain can use.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing I'm absolutely sure of is that we all have to find ways to lean in to how our brains actually work rather than hoping we are going to fit ourselves into the everyday quote unquote normal task of life. We spend so much time, energy, and money trying to do it like everyone else. When we're smart and intuitive, we can come up with all kinds of outside of the box ways to complete tasks that truly work for us and that would allow us to relieve ourselves from this urgency. But it's so impacted into our brains that like we have to match up with everyone else and we have to do it like they've done it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like there's a certain way to do something and you have to do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling like I have to do it the way it's supposed to be done, especially in a work setting, because you're supposed to do it or people want you to do it or that's how they judge you is
Right.
how you did it, how you do it versus did you do it?
Yes. Yes. The worst in my work setting with being in public accounting, you spend every day living your life a quarter hour at a time because
Mhm.
every minute of your day has to be accounted for. Most of your time has to be billable. Did you get it done? How did you do it? Because if you're not getting it done within the amount of time that someone who's doing the billing thinks you should be, that's a big problem too. With my ADHD, having a job or a position where every moment of my day
Mhm.
is written out and accounted for was one of the worst things I could have ever done for my nervous system. And I did it for 20 years.
I did it as a consultant. I would try and figure out what to bill because I knew it took me too long, air quotes, to do something. I'm assuming it probably should have taken me an hour. I would assume everyone else got things done so much quicker than I did.
I always thought it was amazing too that when you would bill out, if you did accidentally quotations overbill and the person would come to you, your manager, the owner, whatever, they're telling you that this shouldn't be taking this long, but they're not the ones doing the work. Yes, they could probably do it faster, but that's why my billing rate is lower than yours, right?
Yeah.
And not only that, but then you try to explain because you feel with your ADHD, if I explain enough, it's going to be okay. They will
Yeah.
understand. And then you realize these people don't think you're trying to explain. They think you're making excuses. They aren't listening to anything that you were saying. They are not taking into account the fact that maybe they need to do a reassessment on how much time these things actually take.
Yeah.
Instead, you're not making the company enough money and you are wasting time and you should obviously be able to do this. I always felt like that was just very belittling and it just sucked. And it was just a terrible environment for my own self-worth. Every 0.25 on my timesheet was what decided my worth.
Yeah.
And it was horrible. That's an easy way to create urgency in and of yourself. We're so high strung in our nervous systems to begin with, right? And we're saying we have urgency, but we're trying to recognize that it's sort of a feeling, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's something that kind of trips us up too. Maybe it's easily not all hierarchy because we know we're layered and we are on a spectrum and that it's different for all of us, but tie back to the fact that even though we are all different, we all have these underlying mile markers, these underlying things that join us all together. They show up differently in our lives, but when we say them to each other, we can always be like, oh yeah, I know what you mean.
Maybe because I'm an army brat, like hierarchy, I'm all very aware of it. If the boss's boss asks for something, I would do their thing before the other thing. Not saying it. In the meantime, I wouldn't get distracted and find something that my brain was
Right.
more entertained by. Actually, I probably would have liked that because it would have given me a clear, like, oh, okay, I know this one is bigger than this one. But if it was just all part of my general job, then a lot of the times I wouldn't be able to differentiate like between what really should be the first thing I should get done.
In a management position, I always found it very easy. Like I would have 15-minute sit downs uh, when people had trouble prioritizing, right? And we would go
Yeah.
through all their stuff and we would put it in order. And I never thought twice about it.
You can do whatever it's everyone else's stuff.
Exactly. I can do it for everybody else, but not myself because I'd be scheduling that meeting knowing that I had something that I had to get to my boss, but being like, but if I don't help this person on my team, they won't be able to move forward. And if they can't move forward, eventually I won't be able to move forward. So it has to be taken care of. It all has to be taken care of.
Our brains aren't motivated by importance, which is more of a neurotypical thing. This is a deadline. I know I need to work on this first before working on something else. We get distracted and somehow finding a new, I don't know, researching something on the internet suddenly seems more important than getting that monthly report in.
It's rarely like, oh, I've accomplished something. Now that's done. That happens. And which is why I do like to-do lists because I think that they make you stop and look. The to-do list is when you stop and you say, this is what I've done today, not this is what I had to get done today. And you actually get to see physically, what it is. But I do think that that is like a helpful tool. And I feel like it's an actual tool rather than a tip and a trick because I know if I slow down and do it, it will help me um, to at least acknowledge that I have
Yeah.
gotten something done today rather than feeling like, well, I bounced around, I did all this stuff, I'm exhausted and nothing got done.
Nothing got done. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
But I think too, I mean, I love that idea too of the, looking at what you did. And you and I have talked about too, at just adding to your to-do list after you've done something simply so you can scratch it off, like,
oh, I
and
love to
make
do
you feel like
that.
you've accomplished more. Um, but we'll kind of beat ourselves up too. We might get something done, but then we might beat ourselves up around it took us too long. We maybe didn't do it the right way. There's all, versus you got it done and that's what matters.
Yep. And when you get it done, do you have a looming recheck? Are you looking over your shoulder at that
Yeah.
file thinking,
Yeah.
maybe I need to go back and just read it one more time, make sure I got everything
Yeah.
done,
Yeah. It's
you know?
yeah. All those great ADHD symptoms running into each other.
If this show resonated for you, forward it to someone who might still be urgently trying to complete their to-do list today.
Until next time, remember, you're not the only one who's angry on the inside.